Public service company extorts and destroys Jamaica with help from treasonous government mercenaries. And that public service company is the JPS. My people, whatever is in the darkness must be put to light. The power company of Jamaica is putting out the light of the Jamaican economy. There is no single greater threat in Jamaica at the moment because it induces poverty so humongously. It will also factor big in the cause of every step of chaos in this desperately dark nation, where many people don't even have the fortitude to fear crap anymore. The souls of man has become so hollow that their bodies are nothing but the outward shell. If we should take evidence from all that transpired from Miranda to this day, none of these companies came to Jamaica to do other than exploit. The service could not have been weighing on the agenda to any degree. The evidence proves their determination to effect an unfair trade, and the channels are pointing to the foot of exploitive oil companies. However, if you value the difference in treatment when these white companies operate in white countries, the colonial factor seems to naturally pop up to mind. They came here to loot and destabilize, and their zealous workers are chosen from the very masses that they trample underfoot. Where do I begin here? I want to give some personal experiences with this company as evidence, but I think I will go back a little bit to the time that they came here. According to PJ Patterson at the time, Jamaica would no longer see the regular power cuts. My experience over the last years is that whenever it rained, sometimes as it begins to drizzle, power went out. Many dark nights were spent watching Piniwali lanterns outside. The other thing is this: when the power company was public, they took responsibility for their destruction of public property or of private property. Sometimes it is not that the power goes out. It is not just that the power goes out. It is how it goes, bucking like a rodeo bull until something in your house blows or until you smell burnt wire. This company is immune, or at least technically immune, from paying these damages. Now they tell you it's your fault for not buying a protective system to plug into. Why do they authorize plug sockets in the walls when building a home then? Do you see the irony yet? It is your fault for plugging in the thing where the socket is. You plug it where the socket is, right? Is this true though? Is it true that it is or it should be your fault? You paid for a service, not join a partnership to provide a part of the service that you pay for. Listen, you will see how you become and have to be a partner without benefits. The government, as the Muslim is quite potent, and the company is quite tyrannical. This is the truth. Yes, it helps some to go and buy surge protectors for everything inside the home, but it is not even a fair trade. Why will the government or the government pass a product that is below standard? Why will the government pass a product that is below standard? In a state are in a little period of 3 years between 2017 and 22, when the electrical holocaust was worse in my lane. I lost little things that I never noticed, but I noticed when I lost big things. I lost one old analog TV, one smart TV, and one refrigerator. I sat there and experienced them go with that rodeo bucking electrical thing. Imagine what people have always been losing. The people pay more for electric bills than they earn for pay. But they must supplement the shortcomings of the power company. I lived in 3 different countries before and never lost a thing for plugging into a socket that was made to be plugged in. Here again is something that the poor people, I mean, of Jamaica must subsidize. Here is another thing that the poor people of Jamaica must subsidize, and it's enforced by the extortioners, strongmen, the grudgemen. When there is a hurricane, if you don't have insurance, you pay for everything or lose. And when you finish paying and losing, you must pay for all damages accrued to the company, which is the power company in the hurricane. So after you lose what you lose in the hurricane and pay what you have to pay for in the hurricane, especially if you do not have insurance, you have to go ahead and pay for all that the power company lost in that hurricane. The charge will come on your bill as hurricane charges. But so many of you claim that you are not gods, but the hurricane comes and now the government and the power company is giving you that status. They are giving you that status as God, right? And charging you for an act of God. They say it's an act of God. So you are the chargeable one for an act of God. Also, the company has guaranteed profits. So you have to pay them if they make less than projected. Tell me something. Does it seem like democracy, like they are even teasing you, mocking you, or joking at it too? Does it seem that way? The company has guaranteed profits, so you have to pay them if they make less than projected. Moreover, the original company did not come here giving a shit about anything but fossil fuel. Neither did they care about using proper gas saving turbines. Hello, if the oil companies were to make money, gas had to burn. Jamaica pays more for electricity than most countries in the world, possibly all save for Japan. But Japanese have money, right? When they came here decades ago, the fact that they would use fossil fuel as a main source and turbines that spewed waste like the woman at the crab circle was questioned. P.J. Patterson, who was not poor, spoke for the poor. He said that it would be better for them to pay the higher funds than to continue with the power outages. So the company came and the poor people endured the power outages but paid more for it. There is so many harmful factors of how this company sabotages and destabilizes Jamaica that now it seems as big as the national budget debate. Jamaicans have their own dollar or something like that, but they have to watch the US prices. Electricity raises are automatic in many ways. In many ways, these spikes become automatic. The milking comes from all angles. The poor children cannot afford school, but the high electricity bills drive up the cost of the expensive free education. Free education in Jamaica is very, very expensive. I want to tell you that. A lot of people probably went to Bellevue because of it. Frustrated parents. The government does not want government offices to go solar and save the people, the desperate, starving people. The government does not want schools to go solar and save the people, the desperate, starving people. The government does not want large companies like Mighty D&G or Jamaica Broilers to go solar and save the people, the desperate, starving people. Chicken would be much cheaper and we could all drink more beers instead of bearing madness all by ourselves on our own energies. We could all get stoned a little. One prime minister had a mission to make the average Jamaican able to go solar by a very ingenious plan that would help even the poorer JPS customers to save themselves from being suffocated to death by these extortioners. This was a very good plan. I was looking forward to it. It was like, for all my years of living in this country, it was like the greatest, the most glorious thing I have ever seen. It was almost like akin to a coming of Christ to me. Had he effected this plan, Jamaica would be as good as first world today. The mercenaries attacked and he disappeared somewhere between Tivoli and a chumped up scandal. The people don't even understand what it would mean to them had he been successful. But the oil companies and their mercenaries in the opposition knew what it was. And those black mercenaries had to be zealous for the oil company. You need to understand that when the colonial masters come to strike you with a thin piece of stick, the black mercenaries will fly up fast and strike you with a light pole to show the colonial master how zealous and with him he is. When huge companies attempted to go solar, the government told them to put the burdens on the backs of the poor and stick to the starting grid. You hear that? When huge companies attempted to go solar, the government told them to put the burdens on the backs of the poor and stick to the starting grid. I am certain that this should be chargeable as treason. It should be chargeable as treason. These grudge folks should be charged for treason, but only if the people collectively rise and pay attention. This is treason. This is, as a matter of fact, I believe this is akin to murder. When you look at the gravity of the situation, it gets murkier as we go. When the concept of solar began to get popular, the government and the power company had subtle ways to intimidate the persons installing, telling them that they still had to take supply from the JPS. That was scamming and extortion in one. It cannot ever be legal. It is too immoral to ever be legal. But they scare people anyway, even up to recent times that I know. Imagine getting free energy now, but you are asked to come back to the grid. What the fuck were you running from in the first place? Huh? The Jamaican government never wonders how people pay their bills. They see it as success and economic growth and, and the legacy of the government in power. Each one of them comes out and brag, oh, look at what the people are doing, great things. We are making the people more successful. Oh man, this is why we say holy fuckaloni. There is no way to earn 10 and pay 25. But who gives a crap except that lady with the crabs, right? The irony. is that the government wants to figure ways to find out everyone's source of income. Don't even laugh. The only ones that are pressured are the folks that are deliberately transparent, having nothing to hide. If you want hilarious, check out a Jamaican bank. Because of the electric bills, many companies and small businesses close. In the Caribbean market, electricity cost makes Jamaican companies uncompetitive. The simplest things draw so much energy charges, especially if you live in a certain systemically extorted zones. How do these zones work? There are zones where folks are deliberately charged more because they are likely to earn a little bit more. So the company is not even about doing business, they are just about extorting. So if they see that, well, in that zone, these people might earn a little bit, have more money, we want to take them for all they fucking have. That's what they are doing. That's what they are doing. They suffer the most, these people in these zones. It is a common thing for a Jamaican's light bill to be more than his rent. We had a family business once, and one day JPS came to see what was inside. We had two freezers, ceiling fans, and a radio. They were doing this big operation at the time. Like, if you have meters, why do you have to estimate bills? Anyway, we showed the extraction of the two freezers, but an old one was there that did not even have a proper plug. But we used it to put drinks on ice when we had to. The man looked at the plug-less frame, the one with the worthless plug that was not plugged in and obviously was never even being used and couldn't be used where it was. He looked at it and said, "Three freezers." I said, "No, two. Look." I showed him it was not operational and could not be used where it was. And he said, "It's still a freezer." That month, the light bill tripled and the business was no more viable. They went to an hairdresser shop up the road and checked. The same thing happened there. These are metered operations. After going up, these bills never got back down, no matter how you use less energy. And they did it to so many companies and small, especially the small businesses all across, and many of them went out of business. I mean, many of them went out of business. Some tried to stay up, but their lights blew out after a while because they cannot keep it up. All their profits were gone. Here is a big one. Although it does get worse. Years ago, my father allowed a good worker to make furniture in his backyard. We had big enough yard space. So the guy set up and ran the electric cable from his house next door. His house is next door, and he's running the cable from his house. One day, some guy from JPS came and said that they are going to charge commercial on our house because we had a commercial business on their electricity, which is on our property. I did not even know about that commercial shit, but I showed him the wire that it was not ours. I literally showed him that there was no commercial operation on our place. It's just this guy who had access to the backspace was using it. It had nothing to do with JPS electricity and us. In fact, that was going on the guy's bill because he was taking it from his house. Now, if he had said he was gonna put the guy on commercial, I would understand because that's where it's his business and that's where he's obviously taking the light from. The wire is not in. That month, our bill skyrocketed and it put pressure not only on my father, but it burned the resources of all his working children as well. That's how they try to induce the poverty, and it's deliberate. We did everything to figure it out because we didn't know they did anything. Because I even showed him the wire. So for months upon months and years we tried. We did everything to figure it out. We even rewired the house. One day we spoke to someone from JPS and later on we got info that it's because we are uncommercial, because we have a business at the house. This is the experiences of many Jamaicans. There must be some forum at some point for people to really vent about these systemic extortions and tyranny supported by treasonous mercenary governments, grudgements that look out for oil companies at the demise of their own countries. These companies do not come to offer any fair deal to any third world country, and they know the back and belly rats among us to choose, even though it is not paved, because the government took the tax monies all these years and must be sued by thousands of people like us. The grassy turf in front of our gate is supposed to be the public road. The garbage truck cannot get in there, but JPS surely could put in poles. However, we had to put in the polls and then they charge us and take no responsibilities for what they call private lines. We are forced to be partners without benefits, where it favors the government and the JPS. You see that? If you start a cable company, you must run the wires wherever it goes and then charge for the service. JPS came by one day and suggested we hook up with neighbors and run the polls. We find the money to run the polls for JPS on public road. Those, okay. Yet, the charges to the people in that lane is already humongous. The cable companies run their own cables and charge their customers. We have a family subdivision and there is a road nearby where many houses are hooked up to JPS with all sorts of wires from everywhere, tangle here, tangle there. JPS did not run the wires. They did not take responsibility, but they are collecting a light bill, of course, and they are going in that same lane to read the meters. They tell the people to join up, pay well over $1 million to have them run polls, but that's where they are already collecting. And they want the people to pay well over $1 million to have them run polls. But they are doing commercial business there, but they are not certain that the people will recover their monies that they are going to use to run all those polls. Huh? Telling me no, tell me no, tell me no. And people, listen, the JPS company itself is colonial, but the government that work with them are treasonous. They are treasonous. This is treason. Hmm? Holy fuck a lordy. Government is collecting taxes for some of these houses. JPS is collecting heftily too. But they will not run the wires. Yet the one person that had no choice but to go solar got the undertones from a JPS rep telling her that she had to hook up with them. She does not have to do that, of course, but this is how scammers and extortioners work. People have to work hard to pay light bills and will afford not much less, not much else, not much else. Just the light bill, hardly any food. They cannot make much from manufacturing, for the energy cost is too high. The government fancy foot around the issues with distractions after distraction. So now I am exposing to the people that the one greatest threat to the Jamaican progress is JPS, the Light and Power Company. You hear me? These, this company is a colonial weapon and it works on behalf of the oil companies. And you have treasonous back and belly rat Government and both parties, I don't have to name them, you know them. Tell them I said it. They are treasonous, back and belly rat, and they work together on both sides. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.